Welcome to Iceland. My name is Gylfi, and today we will explore the village of Dalvík, situated on the northern shore of Eyjafjörður, where it faces the Arctic climate from the mouth of Iceland's deepest fjord. And we start with a classic question: what do Icelanders think of when Dalvík is mentioned? How do we perceive them? And many of us may remember the village for its annual fish festival, which used to be Iceland's largest summer festival, free to attend, with free fish food, highlighting the generosity of local companies and the local people who dedicated countless hours to serve tens of thousands of guests. And although the fish festival has been cancelled, at least temporarily in its original form, it still upholds the image of the village. So welcome to Dalvík. We start with the big picture in front of us. Dalvík is 5 hours from Reykjavík and only 30 minutes away from Akureyri, the capital of North Iceland. Road improvements and tunnel projects on the Tröllaskagi Peninsula have gradually opened that region since the 1960s, transforming Dalvík from being an end station in the north into an excellent hub with its port acting as a ferry terminal for Grímsey Island, which is literally on the Arctic Circle, little over 60 kilometers away. And the municipality includes 2 other villages, Árskógsandur and Höganess, that I cover in separate videos, which I'm linking to, because I want to preserve the identity of every village I cover in this video series. Not least because every village has its own background and history. So let's start this journey with the history of Dalvík. And the story begins in the valley of Svarfaðardalur, named after the first local settler, Þorsteinn Svörfuður, who settled the valley after advice from the first settler of Eyjafjörður, who had already claimed the best locations for himself, favoring the deeper parts of the fjord. Land quality here is, however, fairly good considering the location, with fertile soil ideal for agriculture, and the benefits were even more when it comes to the nearby fishing grounds. And through the ancient sagas we can see that if Þorsteinn Svörfuður were a resident of the valley today, he might have his own episode in the TV series, Neighbor from Hell. And despite his questionable past, his name is still held in high regard around here. In fact, the local sports club is named after him. However, that name could be considered as the worst tongue-twisting sport club name in the world. Ungmennafélagið Þorsteinn Svörfuður. And luckily, it's easier to explain the name of the village, Dalvík, as it means the coast at the end of the valley. Old archaeological remains indicate that several churches once existed in the area, suggesting a significant settlement during the Middle Ages, although it remains unclear why the village is relatively young by Icelandic standards, since modern settlement did not begin to develop until the late 19th century, primarily due to fishing, of course. And the growth here took off quite fast after the arrival of the first motorboats. Local fishermen were quick to take advantage of the new technology. The village started to form, and things looked well for them until 1934, when a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck the village. It originated from the offshore Tjörnes fracture zone, and it was the so-called Dalvík alignment that snapped. The first earthquake lasted for a minute and a half, causing damage to every single house in the village. And remarkably, despite the poor construction quality of the time, there were no fatalities, which was a stroke of luck because this occurred during a period when many Icelanders still lived in turf houses, and many of them collapsed. So as a result, extensive reconstruction efforts began, leading to the construction of many houses made from reinforced concrete, designed to withstand earthquakes, and shaping the core of the village into what we recognize today. According to microseismic measurements, the most likely source of the earthquake was midway between the island Hrísey and Dalvík at a depth of 5 to 10 kilometers. Increased knowledge would later reveal that the fracture likely responsible for this is also responsible for a large geothermal system that provides heat to most houses in the area, because fractures are the express lanes for heat transfer, allowing deep heat to rise toward the surface where it can be utilized. And since this history brought us to geology and the rising heat, it's appropriate to start the valley tour up on this mountain that divides the valleys Svarfaðardalur and Skíðadalur. Up there, we can find a magma intrusion dike, or the part of it that solidified, and by time it was erosion that left this exposed basalt column there as a popular and challenging task for professional climbers only. So I have actually a separate video online about this column, which I'm of course linking to if you want to see more of the details. And the surrounding area of Dalvík offers all kinds of mountaineering and hiking activities. And the narrow Skíðadalur Valley is one of the hidden gems. And although some of the mountains there may appear intimidating, their names sound even scarier. Names like Klangshóladalur, Kvarnárdalsöxl, Kvarnárdalshnjúkur, and Dýjafjallshnjúkur. That is in fact the highest peak in the mountain range, one of the few non-glacial peaks in the country that reach an elevation of 1,400 meters, making it a great choice for hikers looking for high-altitude experiences without complications other than place names. And the local place names do actually often leave us Icelanders wondering who originally came up with these names. And the only logical conclusion I can reach is that something else was invented before the place names, or a thing called alcohol. Despite that, I recommend a trip through the valleys, as they have many little features like waterfalls that haven't been photographed a million times. And when we explore the area north of Dalvík, we use the road to Ólafsfjörður village, which offers a pleasant sightseeing. And I want to mention 3 places in particular. First, the waterfall, Mígandi, one of the relatively unknown waterfalls of Iceland that deserves some more attention. And a part of that reason is how hard it is to film it. So hard that I've not shot my dream shots from there yet. And I need summer solstice for shots like that. That might be the perfect backdrop when filming this waterfall. There is a little car park that we can use, usually stuffed with snow over the winter and unusable, but the view from there, when you can get to that platform, can be excellent if you have a zoom lens. And even though it isn't a big waterfall in terms of water volume, the 80-meter drop through a layer of birds down to the coast can be very impressive. And I suspect that this waterfall provides excellent ice sculptures from time to time over the winter. However, the weeks before or after summer solstice are the big weeks around here, when the midnight sun is very low in the background. So what we can get here are scenes worth calculating and waiting for. And a drone is the ideal filming tool. Although I sometimes see jet skis around the waterfall and whale watching boats. So shooting the waterfall from a boat trip can actually also be a good idea. And when I park there, it's always a good idea to be on the lookout, because we might get a free whale watching experience from the cliffs. And this time, in 2025, I found this herring school just below the waterfall, and the footage explains why the fishermen called this valuable fish the silver of the ocean. And this area is among the best in the country for sea-based activities. Whale watching, sea angling, but whale angling is, however, not an option. And the second spot I want to mention is the sightseeing platform at an elevation of 120 meters by the tunnel entrance. When the visibility is good, we can see the island Grimsey little under 60 kilometers away. And this was shot from this sightseeing platform when I was testing out a new lens in 2025. And although this is obviously a good viewing platform for all travelers, it is underrated when it comes to the northern lights and also astrophotography. So what this place offers is to take us as close as we can get to the Arctic Circle without a trip to the island, and the coastline at the other side of the fjord is completely free from light pollution, which is a big bonus. And for those who want to go a step further, the old road to Ólafsfjörður is still there. Not all of it, like you can see in my video about this road. So if we want to get a bit higher up, where not even little flashes of lights from cars can disturb us, that can be a good idea. But I need to warn you though that this will only be possible after it gets dark enough for northern light photography in September and before it starts snowing again, which could just as well happen in October. And never go there without checking local companies for information. But the rewards that we get during clear nights are the stars and the little to no light pollution to interrupt. So it is a fantastic and underrated place. And winter tourism here is on the rise, although it's not a major industry. Dalvík offers a little ski resort. It's family friendly. The Akureyri ski resort is less than an hour away, and that is the most popular ski resort in Iceland. And we actually can't find a better place in Iceland for skiers. And one of the tourist options is heli skiing. For those who have the guts and the money, they can be airlifted to the highest peaks and have the slopes for themselves. So there is more to the local tourism industry than meets the eye. There is a hotel in the village and many other accommodation options actually, like Airbnb, huts, farmhouses, and the local people, they are good hosts. So let's talk about them and start with the largest son of the village. That was actually larger than any other Icelander, one of the largest persons in the world actually. His name was Johan, but he went mostly by the stage name the Viking Giant or the Gentle Giant. At his peak, he measured 2.34 meters, and his height came with a price, of course. He suffered from back and joint issues. He had difficulty walking by the age of 20, and the only available work around here was fishing. And there weren't even large enough boots or sea clothes in the country for him. So Iceland wasn't tailored for him, literally. So he moved abroad to become a circus performer, and his size would also lend him some minor roles in movies. And after he moved to the US, he actually got a little role in a film with Gary Busey and Jodie Foster. And after an accident while living in Florida, he returned to Dalvík to his place of birth, where he settled at the age of 70 in the local retirement home until he passed only a few months later. And the local Heritage Museum has a special exhibition dedicated to his life and work. And it is a fun fact that Jodie Foster, who worked with Johan in the movie Carney from 1980, came to Dalvík in 2023 to shoot the third season of the TV series True Detectives. So their paths sort of crossed again, and I actually came to Dalvík to shoot the production set. And Dalvík is the kind of village that has the perfect mentality to accommodate even the largest production sets. So the filming crew literally took over part of the village and made the town central look like a village in Alaska. But why didn't they shoot this there? Might one ask. And this was actually a part of a government project aimed at getting filmmakers to come to Iceland and let their work promote our island. At first, this was mostly about VAT refund. But in this case, it was more. It was pure subsidy of production cost, or 35%. So Icelandic taxpayers paid actually millions of dollars for a project that didn't show Iceland as Iceland, and therefore it had almost zero landscape promotion value. So many Icelandic filmmakers went crazy over this injustice because they've had to endure severe cuts in recent years, which is reflected in the decreasing production of Icelandic films. So they asked, of course, why to throw all this money into this? And this story has, of course, two sides. Icelandic companies and actors get to work on projects like this. And the large-scale projects do, of course, leave some knowledge in the country. And what remains is a question, how far should we take this? And when I look at what has worked for us in the past, I need to mention the waterfall scene that has done wonders for the tourism industry, like many other scenes actually. My personal favorite is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where Iceland served as a versatile backdrop throughout the film, which presented my country for the most part in a very natural way, with excellent color grading. So to refund the VAT for projects like that is a good deal in my eyes. But 35% of production cost with no landscape value is likely not a good deal for us. And that is why a part of the Icelandic film industry turned against this project, as it drained our own resources to make our own films where Iceland is Iceland. And let's continue to cover famous people in Dalvík. It was in 2019 when John McAfee, the founder of McAfee Antivirus, disclosed that he had been hiding in a little apartment above Gregor's restaurant in Dalvík while evading authorities. And the media jumped at this story, of course. In a few weeks, this news bulletin was, however, dismissed as an attempt to mislead investigators, or just a little virus from Iceland from the former antivirus king. But the restaurant, they did of course benefit from the unexpected publicity. And I had a feeling that they got more publicity from this stunt than the True Detective TV series. And since we are into restaurants, let's see what my TripAdvisor test came up with this time. And Dalvík came out quite well with a decent selection of restaurants and coffee shops, although they are not scoring many points when it comes to things to do, to be honest. And I think it has something to do with the lack of listings rather than a lack of tourist activities. And I would like to point out that I'm not a representative of TripAdvisor. I use it mainly for the GPS function to see what's around me at any given time. And some of the towns and villages I cover, they list everything they have. And some of them go a bit over the top, while others don't even list the local petrol station or the campsite. So this is not about whether if you like TripAdvisor or not. This is about consistency for our guests, reliable information. And the main tourist sensation in Dalvík is whale watching, because this is an excellent location for such activities with high success rate. And Dalvík is far from being the kind of village that has been taken over by tourism, which is good. Fish processing still dominates the labor market. Iceland's largest fishing company built one of the world's most advanced fish processing plants here. And a large plastic product company has been operating here since 1984. And they have established their brand worldwide from this location and contributed to stability on the labor market. That is in general very strong around here. So the last test I did for this video was to look into the real estate market, where over 30 properties were listed for sale in April 2026. And that indicates that the market is healthy and the employment situation is fine. But to see new apartments on the market, it tells me that the local people expect the good times to last. And overall, I think this village is doing well, and the future is bright for them. And I will continue this journey to the neighboring villages soon. and I will in some cases be replacing older videos, so this was Dalvik video number 2. Hopefully better than the first video I made from here, because when this journey started, I didn't have as good equipment as I have now and less experience, and the villages I cover, they undergo changes, of course. And it won't be long until I will have a web online that will link all my videos together from the Northeast. And until our next journey, I'm sending you best regards from my home country, Iceland.